Good morning, everyone. My name is Mighty Stream. Today is July the 23rd. I'm brought to you by Hope Through Navigation. This is our Hood Recovery Services. I'm going to do your July 23rd Spiritual Principle a Day in a meditation. If you need to reach out to me, please do so at recoveryofhope21@gmail.com. Let's go ahead and get into that meditation. Inspired by Hope. Page 212. We may not relate exactly to one another's dreams, but we can relate to the hope, energy, and excitement of trying to realize them. Living Clean, Chapter 2, Connection to Others. One of recovery's greatest gifts and joys is seeing another NA member's hopes and dreams become realized. We are there when someone in our home group plants a seed of an ideal into their own life, where it takes root in the dirt below and sprouts a stem that stretches towards the sun. We witness them take all the necessary steps to bring their goal to fruition, in spite of struggles with self-doubt and some real setbacks. We celebrate each other's successes at graduations and weddings, for births, adoptions, and reunifications, at launchings, openings, and housewarmings, and at the finish line, or just by hearing about them at a meeting. We are inspired even if our own seed of an ideal is very different, or even if we don't yet have a seed of our own. Most of us would agree that the specific details of our stories of active addiction don't have to be the same as another's addicts in order for us to empathize or even identify with them. The same can be said regarding our specific ideas about how we want to enrich our lives. There are as many paths to freedom as there are addicts, and just as many paths to joy, success, contentment, and fulfillment. Seeing others follow their dreams can inspire hope in us to find and follow our own. At different periods of our journey, hope may inspire us in different realms, like employment, family, and relationships, using our intellect, our creativity. As one addict quipped, I used to climb the walls, and now I climb mountains. Bearing witness to each other's journeys is a boon. We can learn from each other's mistakes without having to make the same ones ourselves. What looks impossible or undesirable to us in early recovery may appeal to us later on and transform our lives. We get most of our best ideals from each other. I can find inspiration in my fellow recovering addicts, sometimes despite the details and sometimes because of them. Today, I have hope for my own future, and I'm willing to do what I can to inspire others to find the hope they lost or never had. Inspired by hope. I like that. I like this. I like any reading that is dealing with helping others become hopeful. I like that. This is one of those readings that I've enjoyed reading. Inspired by hope. I think the main point, the spiritual principle, obviously is hope, but also the spiritual principle of being able to be encouraged by other people's accomplishments and not necessarily have to have the same accomplishments, or that spirit of comparing yourself to them, but being able to take the story for what it's worth, take the success for what it's worth, and being able to say, okay, I believe that there's no big I's or little U's. I believe that people recover at different rates. Maybe they attained buying their first home before I did, but I am going to also continue to work towards my goal of not only just buying a home, but starting a business, whatever that is for you. whatever that looks like for you, be in a position where you can, if you believe that the therapeutic value of one addict helping another is without parallel, right? And we can learn from each other in regards to the disease of addiction. And we tell different stories. Our experience, strengths, and hopes are different, but we all can benefit from one another. If you believe that, this reading is saying, then you can also believe you can benefit from each other's successes, even though they don't always look the same. There's many paths to joy, success, contentment, and fulfillment. They don't always have to look the same, right? But the end game, the end result should be that you feel more free, that you feel joyful, peaceful, contented, right? And maybe that's hard for you to accept. Maybe, you're looking at your life today and you're saying, I'm a far cry from that. Okay, well, let's start doing the work. And I think people believe when I say start doing the work that I'm talking about step work. I'm talking about the internal work that comes as a result of doing the step work. So when I say get busy with your steps, do the work, or right? When I say do the work, I'm not always meaning do the step work. I am meaning, though, start that journey within. Start it. Because the closer, the more the self-discovery that you have, you're going to start figuring out what your purpose is. A purposeless person is walking about aimlessly. They can get their joy from any direction, but they can also get their sadness from any direction because they don't know who they are. And when I say do the work, even though it would seem like it would be common sense to do the step work, I'm not trying to push that down anyone's throat, right? But what I am saying is that through Narcotics Anonymous and the 12 steps and traditions, the spiritual principles are mapped out in a way that allows a person to do the internal work in a manner that's not complicated. It's not complicated to grab your green and gold flat book, step working guide, and get a journal and start answering those questions. Yeah, if it's a race and you're trying to get it done every first month of the year, you're trying to do step one. If it's a race like that, then it might be a little bit complicated for you, depending on what you got going on in your life, right? If you don't have a sponsor, that's the first thing, is to make sure you get your literature, get yourself a sponsor. And if you can't get a sponsor right away because you want time to get to know people, or you having these false expectations for people to live up to your standards, and you think that the sponsor should be a glowing person of perfection, then you're probably going to have a hard time having a sponsor. I mean, it's really, a sponsor can be somewhat like a friend for you or nothing like a friend for you, right? They could just be an individual that you interact with as things come up, so that you understand how the spiritual principles apply to your situation and engaging them in step work. Eventually, what happens over time, though, you go from not knowing them very well to knowing them very, very well. Yeah, so you want to try to work towards getting a sponsor, be inspired by the hope of others. My name is Mighty Stream. I'm excited to have spent the day with you. That's our spiritual principle for the day. And I am going to be talking to you tomorrow.